Hello, everyone. It looks like I have Ellen is on the line, and Melissa. I'm sorry, Melissa. It looks like Melissa, but that's actually me. Patty um, and Linda are on the line upstairs. Everybody should be on mute. Could everybody take yourself off mute just to confirm that you're on the line? So it's a little microphone down at the, it could be down at the bottom of your page, of your screen.
Can you hear us, Lily?
I can hear you.
Okay, Linda and I are here.
All righty. And Natalie's in. Natalie, can you hear me?
Okay, so her staff knows. Doug said that he was going to think about giving him the president's award. He wasn't going to spend this year. He ran out of time. So,
Natalie, I can't hear you. So
I don't know what you've done in the past.
if you can find your unmute.
Try *6 if you're on the phone.
Okay, let's talk to her about it.
Ellen, I unmuted you for just a second.
Yeah. And then we would give her a plaque right after the meeting.
All right, so I'm going to mute everybody.
Okay.
All right, it's 3 o'clock. Who can hear me?
Okay, so I'm going to the award. Right. Right. Okay. Well, let's talk to Michelle about it tomorrow. I'm glad you remembered. Well,
Lily.
then he's like, I didn't know that.
Okay, hey Ellen. I'm gonna put Ellen on mute. There. All right, and who's on the line here? John, are you?
Andre.
Oh, hey Andre, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to check and make sure I could hear you. I'm gonna put you on mute now, and I'm just gonna do a little intro, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
This is Elizabeth Tatum.
Oh, hey Elizabeth, how are you doing?
Good.
Good, thank you. All right, so as you all know, because I told you, I'm new with this particular app, so be patient with me. I think the best way for us to do this is if everybody could put yourself on mute, and then if you have a comment, just unmute yourself to make the comment. That'll, minimize background noise and hopefully help us with the way people interrupt each other on the phone on conference calls. So I'm just gonna assume that everything's okay with all of that, and I'm gonna move forward. We thank you for coming to this second part of the session. I want to go over the first 20 slides that we did last time really quickly because there were a couple things I wanted to just touch base with you on. And then I'm hoping we can make it through the rest of the slides during the hour and a half that we have here today. So again, if you have a comment to make, unmute and just start talking, and we'll see how that works. This is experimental. So let's see. So this first slide for the Maryland workforce system, I had a thought about it, and my thought was instead of trying to describe it in a narrative like this, for example, maybe it would make sense to do something more like this that shows all of the partners that were in the state plan. So there's a chat feature, let's see, where if you go to where it says more, there's like a little control panel, and then at the end of that control panel, there's 3 dots with more underneath them. If you hover over that, a whole thing will pop up, and if you select chat, you can open a chat window and just either unmute your microphone to say it's okay, or send me a chat in the chat window to let me know what you think about this idea of using this to explain the Maryland workforce system versus trying to capture it in a narrative like what we had last week. Oh, that's a good point, Natalie. The chart does not account for local boards. I could add boards in there. Let's see. Any other feelings? Oh, the other thing I want to say is it okay with everyone that I record this?
Hi, Lily. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Hey, Steve. Hey, John.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Yeah, I know. I'm not.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the chart is a great idea and it's much clearer.
Yeah. Okay. It says a lot. I mean, it says a lot that would take us a long time, I think, to say in a narrative paragraph. And then Elizabeth says, fine by me. So anyone else who wants to unmute and talk, just go on ahead. I'm going to go ahead. We picked this last option. I said that I would work on simplifying the language, so that's what I did here. If anybody has any feedback about this, take a look at it for a second and let me know.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, because I was calling from the phone and then I did it. Okay, now I'm good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm a little worried about everybody else because nobody else is saying anything. Could somebody say something to make me feel better?
People make really feel better.
This is not a friendly interface, I will say that.
Lily, this is Patty. I think that what you're trying to do, I like the chart. I like the where you're going with this in terms of what it looks like now. But we need to focus on where we're going with the new stuff and not so much on the old stuff.
Yep, I hear you. I'm gonna breeze through super fast. So, because I didn't want to touch on the stuff that we determined for sure. I did want to touch on a couple of things. So thanks to John and Scott for sending this doors definition. Their option selected, key terms. This was selected, that was selected, that was selected. Selected. Move to the data dictionary. I want to check with this for you, Patty and Milena, because I think I must have missed something last time. Time frame date, the date by which it is intended that the target of each benchmark will be achieved. And I wasn't sure if you wanted it to be included usually by the end of a fiscal year, just correspond with the annual budget. Do you want to leave that out or do you want to include that in the statement?
Yeah, we can leave it in just to get, it's a short definition. I don't have strong feelings about it, but I don't think it's going to hurt. Or it adds it doesn't burden because the definition is pretty short anyways.
Okay.
That would be Patty to you.
That's fine.
Okay. And this is where we stopped, performance period. I I didn't get a decision on this. What does everybody think?
We could say just one statement, or maybe even leave it out, and then say that it's going to be the more detailed description or definition will be provided in a data dictionary.
So
People feel like we need to have something.
I think it helps explain what a time frame. It's like a time frame is when you measure something. A performance period is what's being measured at the performance period.
Yeah, I would agree. So the period of time.
So Elizabeth Tatum is saying, rather than saying dates, the data, can we say time period in which the activities occurred?
I like that.
It's measured.
If a period of time for which data is analyzed, instead of in which, for which.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Agreed, John.
Okay, so that's our choice. All right. All right. So 21. Oh, we got there. That one's good. We got farther than we thought we did. Occupational skills training completion. I mean, do we want to say that it's completed, or do we just want to define occupational skills training by itself for now?
The reason we said occupational skills training completion was because if you look back at the original document,
Yeah.
there's a measure against completion. So you have to define completion, whether you do it or you do it as a separate one.
Well, do you have to define what the completion is, or could we decide that later and just decide what we're saying occupational skills training is now? And I'm just asking, I don't know. Maybe we do need to define completion.
Lily, we would never know if we have it in the systems if we don't know what it means.
In terms of, you need to define what completion is, because it could mean a variety of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And program, is it just enough to go through the curriculum? If you stop the curriculum early and get a job, is that completion?
Yeah, I see.
Yes, it is within the in the document. It was pretty. It sounded like it was geared towards kind of outcome, not more than just the fact that, okay, I went through the training. It kind of sort of was geared, but again, we were not sure, so that's why we went on and provided this kind of more options. So it could be anything. So maybe we should leave it what we have and then create more specific definition for the data dictionary for certain things. I don't know, but
John, I noticed that you said for doors, you provide a number of industry-specific skills training courses that, while not a credential, lead to employment outcomes as a result of the training. So
that's
Very different.
That's right. That's right.
That's pretty much what we were saying too.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that Patty and Melina, this is Lisa, I thought that Patty and Melina's definition was pretty good in that it captures, you know, I think it captures what Scott and John are talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you guys like that one, number one. That's what I'm hearing.
How would that be measured, though?
Well, it is because it says or employment in the skill area. So going back to, I think, Linda's question was, if the person gets halfway through, which does happen, gets halfway through and then gets offered a job based on what they've already finished, and it's related to that training that they were involved in, they have achieved employment in that skill area, but they haven't actually completed the training. So do we count them or not? Is that getting too much into the weeds, and that's something that we need to decide in the data dictionary?
I think that's part of a definition.
Well, but it is the way that it's written here, by saying or employment in the skill area. it is included in the definition. So that if I read this, even without looking at further explanation in the data dictionary for this, I would say if that person's employed in the skill area in which they started training, I would count it because it says or employment in the skill area.
That's why I don't think I like that or employment in the skill area, because it say or employment in the skill area if the training's completed.
But you don't have to go all the way through the curriculum in order to get a job in the skill area. For instance, we have a training program, it's multi-skills med tech, there's 4 key areas. You can go through the phlebotomy, which is one of the key areas of the training, and come out as a phlebotomist, but never complete the entire curriculum.
But you have completed the phlebotomy piece.
Right, but you've completed enough to get a job in the area associated with the job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the skill area, with the job associated with the skill area.
So you completed the coursework.
You didn't complete all the way through all of the coursework. You did enough of the coursework in order to get a job in that training area. And that's where you're looking at things like auto mechanics training. You know, there's a lot of series of certifications you can get. You may only go through enough to get 1 or 2 and not to get them all, and get a job as an auto mechanic, a Jiffy Lube.
7. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, since our goal is to get people employment, and whatever skills training they had made them eligible for a job, which they got, why would we not want to count it?
Right.
And the rules, and again, we will define the rules in more specific ways in the dictionary. This definition describes what we mean by that. It doesn't have to be very precise, like really getting into the weeds. We will get there. That's what I'm trying.
All right.
We're all saying the same thing.
Well, I'm gonna say that that's pretty close and move on. And you guys.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Lily. I think that's we can flush anything out more that we need to in the data dictionary if needed.
All righty. Professional development system. So we had Patty and Milena submitted a definition, Scott and John did, and I'm not sure who submitted that last one, but let me know what you guys think of from these options.
But do you remember do you have a chance to look at the professional development system from that committee to pull the definition from the charter, from their charter?
Oh, let me look at that right now.
Because that's what we were referring to. We just wanted to be consistent, that's all.
Right. Let's see. I'm funny about my titles. Committee. Where's community development charter for there. All right. So this is what they have. To produce, disseminate, and facilitate. Oh, that's. So this is what they had. Is this what you're saying? To include, craft something from these committee goals?
I cannot see. Can you guys see? I don't see what you're showing.
Oh, hang on.
We don't see it.
Here. Here it is. So this is it. These are the goals that were defined for their committee.
They didn't have any kind of preamble that would define?
No, they really didn't.
Uh-huh. Okay, that's what we were hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I don't know, system that analyzes training needs and audiences, develops training. I mean, we can use this for, again, one option, again, is for consistency purposes to say professional development system is you cannot say system, is a structure, infrastructure that does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or we can do this with a specialized.
So we could just take the action items from the different bullets of a professional development system, I forget what they exactly said, but analyzes the needs and
Right.
develops training around it and like that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a great idea.
Also, sorry, I just found the unmute button on myself.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I told Melissa she could go, leave, that I thought once I was set up, I would be fine. And of course, I couldn't re-pop open the window to control everybody's mute button. So, oh, well, everybody, just so you know, I'm going to not be using Zoom again. I'm going to probably be trying GoToMeeting, which I've heard is more user-friendly. So hopefully it'll be better next time. Oh, I'm sorry. So we're going to go with that for now. Obtained employment. So we had 3 definitions here. Patty and Milena went for the least, specific. Both Doors and Title III offered time parameters. So I think that's kind of the distinction between the two, and the question whether, to what extent we want to include time parameters in our definition versus in the data dictionary.
See, what we were looking, Patty and I, I'm just explaining, Patty and I were looking at the original document, and it looked like it was kind of a point of time rather than, just the fact of what is countable, what is not countable.
But obtained
This one's a little bit confusing.
The second
I
one.
mean, so are you, because we can start, an individual might spend a day or two in employment.
Yeah.
So just has like exposure to employment, not really expecting it to be anything long term. So we're not talking about anything like that, right? We're just talking about that the individual has obtained employment that is consistent with their goal, right?
That's actually very good. I would not, I thought you were going with it, John. I thought you were going with some kind of specific parameters, but you made it you kind of want the parameters, but you don't want to define them now. So I kind of like what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
So the full or part-time job that is, how did you say that addresses or is in line with the predetermined goals, personal goals for the person, or something like that?
The individual's employment goal.
Or employment goals, yeah.
So
yeah.
This might be just a little nitpicky, but what we're trying to define is a verb, obtained employment, but the definition we just created, we're defining a noun. So we're defining employment, but we need to define the action of obtaining employment.
Do we? I thought this was a noun. I thought obtained employment was sort of like a state of being. Maybe I don't know.
Ah, she's right.
Well, now I see that. How is it written in the...
It could be, Natalie, it doesn't mean that both of you could be correct.
Yeah, that's the joys of the English language.
How is it written in the benchmarks?
It's written as workforce system customers who obtain employment. That's the very first benchmark in strategic goal 1. So I think Natalie's right that it's written as a verb.
So it would be more correct. This would be more correct to take out the ED.
Like, for instance, I just want to clarify, when we provide pre-employment transition services, we have individuals who go into summer youth employment, and we don't we're not thinking that we would count summer youth employment as obtained employment, even though they have had employment exposure, because that isn't their end goal, right?
Yes.
I think we also have to keep in mind what we're collecting too.
Mm-hmm.
As a paid employment, I have to admit for Title III, over 100,000 people, I have nothing until after exit. Because I'm relying on wage record data.
Well, okay.
That's 100,000 people. That's a huge number.
The other part of that is that we aren't going to know what that of that 100,000 people that go back to work. We aren't even going to be having conversations with all of them to find out what a predetermined employment goal is.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, a lot of time we have people, depending, when you look at hard to serve people, they're not all, when they come in here looking, they're not all speaking the language of career pathway. A lot of them are looking for stabilized employment at first. They're trying to stabilize their situation before they're coming back to you and try to figure out what the long-term goal of employment is. I think it's self-limiting, though, when you put predetermined employment goals.
Yeah.
That's fine. I understand what you're saying. And an individual, like, well, when we were responding to this, we were operating under the procedures given to us, which was to respond as if, from your agency's perspective.
Okay.
And so that's what the third bullet is.
I see.
An individual must be in stable employment for 90 days for us to, a minimum of 90 days, really, for us to consider them to be able to be successfully closed as employed.
I understand.
And so.
So this is where we get to own what this is. For the benchmarks, knowing what you all know about data collection, what would make sense for a definition here that is broad enough to allow us flexibility?
We also have to keep in mind we're all collecting something that reports after exit for WIOA. So maybe we want to look at an entered employment rate for those that weren't employed when they came to us, but were employed, and then we can decide what quarter after exit.
It's bigger than WIOA, though.
I know, but I'm saying after, as long as we do it after.
Well, I exit. I mean, if you're talking about a program, an occupational training program who's a partner, puts people in training, they get them a job. There's no terminology for exit.
We all have different terms
at this point.
Well, we all have exits, just we define it differently across the board.
Then you can't use that term exit. It's program completion or whatever it is that you want to call it.
What I'm hearing, and Milena, you tell me what you think. I'm hearing that Patty and Milena's definition may be the path of wisdom at this point.
I think, but the problem with Patty and Milena's definition is Title III is going to be the largest number. You're not going to have when they start employment because we don't collect it during participation. We only collect it after exit. Collect it at enrollment and after exit. So that means you're going to be missing. Right now my number is 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. You compare that to the 5,000 sitting in Title I. How many are we talking about in Title II and Title IV?
But then you get into the data dictionary, and then you say, well, what do I have this information for?
Right. You can harvest from multiple.
Right. So because the best that I can get to this is knowing they have earnings in the quarter after, then that's who I'm going to plug into this performance calculation.
And maybe you remember, we are in a position to propose something, and we have to remember we have not defined yet what it is how we're going to go about the final product. So we might say, okay, we all need to collect the start of the job, no matter what, so we can calculate it, very plainly what it says here. I'm not saying this is what we're going to do, but I'm just saying it is an option.
The only thing I think about the beginning of a subsidized full or part-time job is I could have started a job yesterday and came to the program today.
That's right.
Day after.
And we do a lot of assistance with of individuals keeping a job, invest a lot in helping them to maintain a job. Yeah. Once they they started before they came to us. So I'm not sure that the beginning is the best way to phrase it.
Right. How about
it's okay if this doesn't apply to everybody in every single program?
Say that again, Lisa.
So is it okay if this doesn't apply to everybody in every single program, or that different programs may have different ways of defining this? I guess I like this kind of, I like the definition and that's in blue, and then we can kind of work on what exactly this means for each of our programs in more of the data dictionary section.
That's the idea.
So
report all one, and you're missing the fact that it's a uniform definition across the board.
Well, what does everybody think of instead of using this word, the beginning, saying securing and maintaining unsubsidized full or part-time employment? So securing and maintaining, and then we could define what securing and maintaining mean in the dictionary.
We probably also need to define unsubsidized as well.
Well, what does everybody think of the securing and maintaining?
It's still not saying what.
I'm fine. I mean,
okay.
Why do we need to say securing? Can we not just say maintaining?
Well, I guess I was thinking securing because we're assuming that they were not
without it. And they came without it, and we helped the person to get it, to obtain.
Yeah, but maintaining means that I'm keeping something, not that I started something.
Right.
Oh, so what about, taking that out? You're right, Linda. What about that?
You're still missing the fact I could have gotten the job yesterday and came in your program today.
That's right.
You're counting that as me getting a job, though you didn't do anything for me.
Well, there's other instances too where if you're thinking about incumbent worker training and different things like that we do, people are working, but you're actually helping them to obtain a better job by some of the things that we do as well too.
Achieving employment stability.
How do you measure that?
Exactly.
Is it a percentage of earnings?
What do you mean, the incumbent work?
No, he was saying about sustaining employment. Sustaining. So I take that to mean being able to go, being able to have employment where you don't need to have other employment or other means to satisfy, and that you're able to.
Self-sufficient is better.
Yeah, similar to self-sufficiency, but that's not, how do you measure that? You can't really measure
right.
it. That's the
I
word
mean, we can tie it later to some of them.
My concern, I mean, I understand the need to move on from here, but my concern about this particular definition is one, obviously it's fundamental to everything that we do.
Right.
And number two, when we decide to settle on this, it really will determine even how we proceed in further defining our data dictionary.
Yeah.
That's why, we're spending a lot of time here, but I think we need to.
We need to get this right. Yeah. So just to recap what folks have said so far, we're looking for the definition that we ultimately develop. We may need to draw from multiple sources in different ways to get the number we're looking for. I'm not clear if you guys are okay with securing or not. How do you feel about securing?
The problem is I could have gotten the job yesterday and starting your program today.
So
yeah, Linda, you're starting the program today. Will the services in our program, the services that we're providing could be to helping them to secure that job or stabilize that job? Is that true in your program?
Yes.
Yeah, but
because you could be underemployed. That's why you entered the program. If you are satisfied with your job, you would not be entering into the program.
Linda, do you have any suggestions for something that you feel like would address your concern?
Well, I think we're all under Title I. We're all under WIOA measures. So we know that we all have something in common. As part of the 64 joint fields, we're all reporting wages following exit. We know we want to say that of those people that weren't employed, or those people that are employed but seeking better employment, the number of people that are employed, whether it be the first quarter after exit or whether it match with WEO and say the second quarter after exit. This way you're accomplishing the incumbent workers plus those that weren't employed when they walked in the door.
Yeah, let me give a real world example to substantiate what Linda's saying. I had a customer come in the other day. She's working at a assisted living place where she's doing laundry, but she's also, throughout her year, she's helped out the CNAs and the GNAs. The employers agreed that if she gets her CNA, GNA, if we could assist them with funding her to get that training, that he would then move her up into that position. Is that secure? Is that considered securing another position, or is that just moving along a career pathway? It's the same employer. So how under the benchmarks, how will we account for the incumbent worker training and things that we do for customers who come in for that, who are working, but we're actually moving them along a pathway?
I think that would be met by some of the other goals, right? That look at things like, so if they get a promotion, then maybe they get a wage increase, and maybe that would be captured under looking at, increases in wages and things like that.
And we're saying obtained employment means of those that weren't employed, those that end up becoming employed. We're not going to count the incumbents.
What do you guys think of this? Securing unsubsidized full or part-time job or ascending along a career pathway. And so, and my other question is, what Linda just said was, and Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded pretty much just like the exact metric as WEOA metric. So we could agree to just use the WEOA metric. I mean, we could if we wanted.
Actually, I gave you a WEA metric. I gave you the answered employment rate for WEA, which is of those not employed at participation, the number who become employed in the second quarter after exit.
I stand corrected. But that is basically a standard measure that you're saying that everybody uses, not for our benchmarks, but just, in your regular work.
Employment rate, they're also measuring an entered employment rate.
But Linda, let me ask you a question. I hate to belabor this. If they came in not employed and you're doing 2 quarters after exit, how do you cover your incumbent workers then? They come in employed.
Then I was saying you can either, someone else said not to count them because it would be counted somewhere else. So my original one was you would count them because they'd be getting new employment.
Not necessarily. They could have,
or advancement.
They would have advancement.
Advancement with a new job within the job.
New job within the same employer.
Correct.
And I think that needs to be there because a lot of times you're moving people towards family sustaining wages that aren't already there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the economic self-sufficiency that you're trying to move your customers towards. And I agree with Patty. How do we define self-sufficiency?
There are tons of some metrics that we could adopt along the way for self-sufficiency and agree upon. Whether I mean, we could, if that's the only question that we have. I'm not sure if that's the only one.
Well, I mean, ascending along a career pathway to become economically self-sufficient does not mean that they have become economically self-sufficient. It's just that they have taken another step in that direction.
They've improved their situation.
Yeah.
Right.
The job's not going to be economically self-sufficient.
Or we can put instead of to move them towards economic self-sufficiency.
Mm-hmm. I would be comfortable with it securing or maintaining.
Oops.
I think we've got it.
The retaining, not obtaining.
And that's what he's talking about. Retaining.
Just maintaining. Just maintaining.
Well, if it's just maintaining and you
You're
didn't
not
move up the career pathway, then it's not really obtaining employment. It's like if you didn't move anywhere from where you started. I think the rest of the definition is kind of measuring movement.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just saying retaining, maintaining, either one's fine.
Yep.
So how does everybody feel about what's on the screen right now?
Looks good.
Good.
Everybody's happy. Ta-da! All right.
Leo?
What?
Wait, but now what that definition says is anyone that's employed, that's still employed, you're going to count as obtained employment.
Yep.
And for some organizations, that's true.
Yeah, that's the job I came in with. Could be the job I still have after exit. You're going to count that I've obtained.
No, it says obtained or maintained. It's two
Yeah,
different
but that's
pieces
two
of the
different
puzzle.
words, securing or retaining.
Right, it's two different pieces of the puzzle, and it would have to be tracked two different ways.
So it wouldn't be covering.
Yes, it does. It would be one way for those who weren't working and one way for those who were able to keep a job.
No, but you're counting them all as one because
We have three different pieces here. There's securing a job, retaining a job, or ascending along a career pathway. So I agree that we're saying that if someone doesn't change their employment status at all or get a raise, that they're being included in here.
Exactly, which is not really obtaining. It's just I kept my own job. Then all you're doing is an employment rate. Do you want an entered employment rate or you want an employment rate? What's the goal here?
So if we take out the retaining, because Natalie, that's a really good point. Now what does it say? Securing a subsidized full or part-time job or ascending. So it captures that sense of movement more if we take out the maintaining.
I agree with that.
Sometimes the best thing that we can do for someone is to help them retain the job.
Well, what do we do?
That's what they came here for.
This is Elizabeth. I agree the retention piece is important. It just seems like it's different and should be addressed in a different definition. I just think we should split it out.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
And
can we look at this in the context of what's actually like written in the benchmarks? Because I think the way the benchmarks are written addresses some of this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right. So let's move on for the sake of time. Holy cow. Okay. Industry recognized credential. Everybody looks like sent in something here. That last one is from Natalie. I'm kind of a fan of the first one myself. They're pretty close, really.
Andre's and mine is coming from the Teagle.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's different between the first and second one. Recognition of an individual's attainment of measurable technology. Yes, they're doing advance within an industry.
No, nothing. I think we were following the Teagle what originally was said.
Do you want to just go with the second one? If that's straight from the Teagle?
It's the same, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yep. Educational functional level. Ellen, you're up.
Yeah, so the second definition is from Title II. So defined by the National Reporting System, the measurement of improvement for literacy skills.
Is everybody okay with that?
Give us a second. Do we need all of those details? That would be.
No, we can take out, if you want to take out beginning with the third sentence, you could take that part out and move it to the data dictionary.
That's what I was thinking.
I would leave first and second sentence. I would start taking out where it says students are initially placed.
That's, yeah,
Right there?
Yeah, you could move that out.
right.
The only thing I would say is it says for 6 levels for both ABE and ESL.
Yes, there's 6 ABE levels and 6 ESOL levels.
Okay, just making sure that's what that meant.
Yep.
Because for federal reporting, we report through 12, 6 being for ESL, 6 being for ABE.
Okay.
ABE 1 through 6 and ESOL 1 through 6.
All right. So it sounds like we're good with this. You know, if somebody holler if you have a comment. All right. Median wage. Oh, this is where the fun really got going, I think.
Mm-mm.
My thought is that first definition is good. The only thing might be problematic is the quarterly earnings, because quarterly inserts a, you know, a specified time period in there that we might not want to.
I just wanted to say, so we may say just earnings, total earnings for a specific period of time or something. Or we actually say here a defined period, so total earnings for all participants for a defined period.
Okay.
No, wait, why don't we want to mention quarterly if all we have is quarterly?
But we don't know, maybe we want to suggest something that is not quarterly.
Well,
You could do annual wages.
Maybe we will say that it would make sense to make it 6 months or annual or monthly.
But it's still looking at total quarterly earnings just for 4 quarters if it's yearly, and if it's 6 months, it'll be for 2 quarters.
Yeah, but if we leave it generic, I think, you know, there's no reason why we can't define that later. It just opens it up for us. It doesn't, I don't see how it hurts us in any way. Anybody else have any thoughts? John?
The defined period, we had, on an earlier slide, we had used terminology around performance period, I think it was, and said for which. I just wondered if we might want to use the same. The period of time for which data is analyzed.
Okay.
Total earnings for all participants during the period of time, whatever that terminology was.
For the period of time for which data is analyzed?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the period of time during which.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah, for which data is analyzed. That way we're just keeping it consistent.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Is everybody happy with this otherwise?
I am.
Okay. All right, skills and credentialing. This was, what did we have earlier? Industry recognized credential, skills and credentialing.
Well, I kind of go, this is Scott, I want to kind of go back to what, you know, what we pointed out. We've already gone through a considerable amount of discussion on what credentialing is. There's no sense in us having to redefine it here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're right.
Okay, so just eliminate that?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to have, yeah, I think we've already defined it.
That. Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. Boom, it's gone. All right, and now here's this one, life management skills. Life management skills within the actual benchmarks document, they used a whole, a variety of different things that I believe they were talking really about the same thing. Essential skills, workplace skills, life management skills. I think we need to decide, talk about whether we want to make one definition and just use that to apply to all of these.
I will just chime in. So that was our Patty, when Patty and I were looking at it, I'm like, hold on. There was something. It's like life management skills are mentioned in the goals, but then with within the benchmarks for the same goal, and I have it open right now. It's goal 3. It says by maximizing access to and use of life management skills, and then one of the benchmarks is not talking about life management skills. It's talking about essential workplace skills. So, there are so many, there are so many opinions on soft skills, essential skills, workplace skills, job readiness skills, all of this super pretty much, and I will take a liberty of saying that it's almost the same. Again, we do distinguish in and around, or we do it slightly different. With Patty and I talk, so she calls something that we are talking about the same thing, but we just call it just slightly differently. So the idea was to lump it all together and say this is what we mean by all of them. But we cannot change. I'm not sure if we can change we cannot change the initial document.
We can't.
We can't. So that's already given. So that we lump them together. So and we define them this way.
So both Elizabeth and Lisa have weighed in on chat that they like the first one.
Okay.
Ellen, how do you feel?
Yeah, that's good.
I think those chats were from a while ago.
Definition.
Yeah, those chats were from a while ago.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, what do you think about this?
Can't have the definition, the word within the definition.
It's not within the definition, it's a preface to the definition is the foundation for learning of other skills, including literacy, workplace readiness, and so on.
And that's what it's saying, not the life management skills.
Well, the reason we said it that way was because of what's in the red there. Are we talking about the same thing when we talk about essential skills, life skills, and workplace skills?
Yeah, I could just craft sort of an introductory sentence basically saying that these these terms are used in the benchmarks, but we are interchangeably defining them with this definition. Lisa, do you have any feelings? John?
So, well, I'm feeling confused, honestly. The foundation for learning all other skills, including adult literacy. Is adult literacy one of the skills that has been learned, or is adult literacy the foundation?
Adult literacy is what is being learned.
And do we mean adult literacy, or is this because the financial literacy piece is part of the life management skills? So do we actually mean financial literacy rather than adult literacy?
Well, because adult literacy would be an academic skill.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about, at least my understanding was that when we were trying to define this, we were saying these are the things that get you prepared for adult literacy, workplace readiness, and occupational skills.
What does everybody think about Linda and Andre's definition? Non-specific, generic, and behavior of an individual to obtain and sustain employment. That would
It's missing a word, so what, necessary or that become a foundation for obtaining and sustaining employment?
I like that. I like that, what you just said. Say that one more time. The foundation for
And a foundation for obtaining and sustaining employment. I'm just paraphrasing what's there.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I have a question.
Lily, I wanted to say, okay, non-job specific, generic knowledge and behavior of an individual, which is a foundation, I don't know, to obtain, which becomes a foundation for obtaining and sustaining employment. I was using this, I wanted to use this non-job specific, I don't know.
For non-job specific, generic knowledge and behavior.
Okay, necessary, okay,
Necessary to obtain.
for obtaining, or necessary for obtaining and sustaining employment.
I would take out the for between foundational and non-job specific.
Right. Critical, foundational, non-specific.
Foundation.
It was not what I was saying.
Critical, foundational, job, non-specific.
I wanted to start like it was, non-job specific, generic knowledge and behavior, which is a foundation for obtaining and sustaining employment. Which constitute a foundation for obtaining and sustaining employment.
What about the skills necessary to obtain and maintain employment?
Is it just employment?
That's too generic. That could include
general skills required
To meet life goals? I mean, does it have to be so specific to employment?
Yeah, right.
Because life management skills could help you be successful in areas other than employment.
Right,
But
right.
do we have to make it specific to employment because we are talking about employment? I don't know.
Well, you could say employment.
Achievement.
You could say employment in personal life, home life, or something like that.
You could.
I mean, because if you're talking about management life skills, you're talking, again, somebody pointed out, you know, life skills is more than just the employment, it's also your personal life.
Well, and really, these are the things that are helping individuals to manage what otherwise would be a barrier to their employment. So it's everything else around them.
Yeah, but I think that you don't necessarily have to include the life in there for that to be inferred. So non-job specific generic knowledge and behavior, which is a foundation for obtaining and securing employment. That's, you know, within that statement is things that you need to do that would be in the rest of your life that would impact your ability to hold a job.
Should it be non-job and non-academic specific?
How about generic knowledge and behavior, which is a foundation for obtaining and sustaining employment?
Got it.
I really don't like the word generic. If it's just me, I prefer the word general.
Okay.
Or basic. Fundamental knowledge and behavior that serves as a foundation for obtaining and maintaining employment, and general life success.
And instead of behavior, what does everybody think of skills? Does everybody like behavior, or would skills be better?
I don't like skills, defining skills.
Okay.
I don't think we should define skills with the word skills.
I don't either.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, is everybody okay with this, or what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah. Okay.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
But there will be this introductory
Right.
statement that says, okay, we are lumping together essential life management and all of those and essential skills, whatever we have in it. Right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. I'm putting that in there now.
Okay.
Okay. Workplace skills. So we just answered that, right?
Can we go back to that other slide for a moment just to point out there were other statements that Scott and I had raised about the need to define somewhere what it means to demonstrate these skills,
Mm-hmm.
and what it means like for the second benchmark and for the third benchmark, what it means to actively participate in the individual case plan. I mean, just, I don't know what's going to happen to this PowerPoint after we've finished this activity, and there's certain things we just don't want to lose.
Right. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to put together this feedback and I'll send it out to you guys. I will need you to turn it around pretty fast because I'm going to want to then send this out to, the larger group prior to our full committee meeting, our next full committee meeting. So and maybe John, I'll even contact you offline and let you take a look at what I'm thinking about so that I can capture things like that, like that you're talking about. All right, so I'm going to skip past that. Financial literacy. Everybody seemed okay with this one.
This is that assist individuals. There's a word missing. Courses that assist individual. I'm sorry. Financial literacy courses assist individual with.
No, I think you're right. I think that word helps.
Could be both ways. It could be.
Yeah.
Why are we saying that it's a course?
The Pearl layout. That's the definition from the Pearl.
Also, later in this PowerPoint, we have a different slide defining financial literacy courses.
Do we?
I thought I just saw that.
It's the same one, it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'm trying to go back now. There.
Yeah, the word course is in there because that's what's in, that's the first benchmark of your strategic goal 3 is completing a financial literacy course.
So how about I rewrite this to say, instead of financial literacy courses, financial literacy skills that enable an individual to create budgets, initiate checking and savings accounts, like basically just tweak the paragraph.
You can just remove the word courses in general and use financial literacy that assists individuals with creating. Blah, blah, blah.
How would you
Or financial skills. Again, you don't want to define literacy with literacy. Financial skills.
Yeah. I'd say move capability to the actual term and then just financial skills.
Okay.
What about the financial skills? Financial skills needed to,
You have to
create budgets, initiate checking and savings accounts, apply for, instead of that assist individuals with, just financial skills too.
I like it.
Well, I mean, you will have to, again, why you will have to, 423, you will have to explain why you didn't why. Yeah, if that's what.
Credit reports and credit scores and identify.
Yeah.
Oh, identity. Identify identity theft.
Recognize identity theft.
And then, what do you think about this last sentence?
No, I don't think we
That
need.
looks like it belongs under the service section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the data dictionary.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're at the 4 o'clock mark, guys. We got to chug here. Barriers to employment.
Why don't we list what the barriers to employment are from the state plan?
There are so many of them.
We already have a definition for individuals with barriers to employment. Do we need this one separate?
We kind of felt that it was very cumbersome to list all of them, and we kind of thought that, just very generic, and kick this one to, and then for a list of people, go to the state plan.
I think actually that what Natalie's saying is a good point. So we have individuals with barriers to employment where we listed the target audiences. And then if we have this really simple one, I think it's adequate for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what.
And we can,
yeah.
We can kind of refer back to that maybe.
Okay.
I would just recommend, I don't think we need to have material underlying. Just start it with conditions that negatively affect the odds.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that adds any.
Barrier.
We'll be able to obtain a sustained employment. Okay, are we good with this?
Yep.
Okay. So now we're on to services.
I like the first bullet.
Yeah, I like this one.
Any other feelings? All right, I'm going on. Childcare services. I'm a fan of the first one myself.
Yeah, I like the first one too. This is as somebody who wrote the last one, which I think is too specific. So
I'm always my worst critic too, Lisa. Criminal background services.
You just have, wait, can you go back though?
Yep.
It's just for job search activities, it has to be clear that it's staff job search activities because self does not require, you can't go give supportive services to self.
So you're saying that the word staff should be inserted before the word job there? Staff.
Going back again to WIOA definitions though. I mean, if we're talking about system-wide and we're talking about other partners, it may have nothing to do with staff services. It may have to do with
system won't let you do it.
I have it on
That's our system.
No, I don't know that.
And it's bigger than just WIOA.
It's
bigger than just WIOA. So if you have somebody who's not a WIOA provider and they do child care services because they have a daycare upstairs, that doesn't have anything to do with staff.
No.
Oh, no, yeah, just because of the policy.
Okay, so what are we doing here?
I agree with Patty.
We're staying with what we have here? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Childcare, criminal background services.
Well, we would definitely need to tailor bullet 3 if that's the one we wanted to use.
I think the first one works.
Yeah, I like the first one. It's kind of comprehensive. I'm a fan. Any feelings, any thumbs down from anyone on that?
No.
No.
That's fine.
Okay, domestic violence services. I don't know. I think maybe take out provided through a local nonprofit or agency and just say services that provide support.
Patty and I, so that's wording, and Patty and I were going, we kind of we created some kind of template statement, and we're trying to recreate it for every barrier. We can take that, and so we're not sure exactly about the wording about domestic violence. We left it to people who know it better.
Right.
But if that's definition, if that's all that it is, and if you're all fine, we can use the same format that we used for the previous couple of slides.
Well, I mean, Lisa, what do you think? Because
we are here from the experts.
We're using as Linda would say, we're using the title or the word we're trying to define in the definition.
Yeah, I don't have anything better. Maybe Elizabeth does. I know for TANF, there are some things that are specifically for victims of domestic violence. So for example, you can be exempt from work requirements for good cause. If domestic violence is a good cause. You can be exempt from requirements that you work with child support. If you are identified as a victim of domestic violence, you have to cooperate with child support in order to receive TANF.
You know, it occurs to me that we should probably try to speak, focus in on the relevance of employment here. Maybe services that provide.
Maybe not services. Hold on, Lila. I want to address, and I think it's easier. Take out services that provide. And it will, so you take out the word that defines the word, and you can say support to individuals who are victims of domestic violence, and take half of a sentence from previous slide in their search that maintain, I don't remember how we said it, that assist individuals with blah, 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 with domestic, who are victims of domestic violence in their job search, and whatever else we have there.
Well, the problem is you're still defining domestic violence with the term domestic violence.
Well, in this case,
I think that's okay in this case, though.
Yeah.
It's very specific, or I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out, are you talking about this barriers to employment one?
No, down. No, whether we're child care services, for example, yes. So we do define services with services. So it's support. We can say here, by the way, no one picked up, and I just picked up on that. So childcare services could be support directed to assist. We can change support directed to assist an individual to assist individuals who are victims of domestic violence while they are participating in development and all of this stuff.
Is it while participating in employment-related services, or is it to help
really
them?
More to enable them, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have this. There was something else, Lily. We didn't have employment-related services. It was services associated with job search, with training and obtaining services that enable people, I think John started saying, in employment.
Okay, that enable individuals to what?
Obtain employment.
To obtain employment. Okay. What does everybody think of that?
To obtain employment or to participate in a program?
Well, that's what I was thinking too, to participate in.
Because the end goal is employment, yes.
Right, to participate in services leading to employment.
But you don't continue the services after they've obtained it. Like
Right.
Board of Services.
Right.
So are you suggesting something, Natalie, some language, or are you saying that you like this?
Instead of saying enable them to obtain employment, enable them to participate in
in services leading to employment.
Well, there's the whole statement. I think what Milena was getting at, there's a whole statement, I think in definitions she and Patty wrote. If you go down to, I'm looking at housing services now. So if you go down to that one, at least you can see it's just, while participating in these, the development of essential workplace skills, occupational training service, there's something like that's in a bunch of them.
Right. Thank you for picking up. Well, that was the idea, to have it like the same logic.
I see.
And each one of these, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So support service that assists individuals in obtaining, maintaining.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah.
And I see someone just.
I was looking at after the while participating bit, not the.
Oh, while participating, like all of that.
Yeah.
I like that. While.
And if you look at the chat, someone just put a definition of
domestic violence. Yeah, I just noticed that.
I think Patty Morphy, DM.
A copy
You're not going to read that word.
of.
How can you not get a free that word?
Home typically. Should we say violent or aggressive behavior within the home and just take out that clause about typically?
Mm-hmm.
While participating in the development of essential workplace skills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. How does everybody feel about that?
Good.
Okay.
What if they're no longer victims? Maybe support to victims.
Are they always victims?
Yeah.
Well, no, I just mean they're not involved in it at the moment.
But I
thinking.
think it's still a victim. I'm not sure. Correct me if who knows this stuff. But if it's like a veteran, you will never be.
That's not how I meant it.
No. Okay.
It may not be in the moment. I'm trying to broaden it, like you're saying, Milena. Support, such as to say, support to victims of violent or aggressive behavior within the home, rather than individuals who are in the moment. I'm trying to broaden it out.
You're
there
right.
you go.
Yeah, got it.
Support to victims.
You might want to say survivors instead of victims, maybe.
Okay.
That's good.
Nice. That's you.
That's great.
That's good.
I love that. That may be our best one, guys.
Yep.
Okay. Financial literacy, we kind of already did that. Food and energy services. So if we go back up here and snatch this language.
That was the idea.
Well, I don't know if this works for this particular one. What do you think about that last one? Lisa and Elizabeth submitted it. And
I think that's too specific. So I think we can do something about financial assistance with food purchases and kind of put that into the framework that we're with.
Yeah, we were thinking we just needed someone to say what's most important.
So support to individuals. Say some more words, Lisa.
Financial support for financial support with, or financial assistance with food purchases. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to get it in the correct kind of like verb tense or phrasing to fit the rest of this.
Would you like to take this one and just email it to me when, you know,
Sure.
like nail it down?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Lisa will email to me. All right, perfect. All right, so that's slide 38. Slide 39, mental health services.
Oh, we had fun with this one.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
I'm trying to spice it up, guys. It's already 4:30.
Oh, okay. Well, I have 4:19.
No, not 4:30. I'm saying it's after 4. That's what I meant.
Okay.
I'm trying to joke and spice it up.
We're almost there, guys. We really are almost there. We just need to push through. So support services that assist individuals. What do you guys think of this?
It's in the airport. Oh, gotcha.
Hey, Nat, we can hear you.
Oh.
Oops.
What do you guys, come on, everybody. We only have a few left. Let's go. We can do this. Maybe we can do this.
We can.
We can do this. Come on. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Can we just say while developing essential workplace skills rather than participating in?
Say
while
that.
Developing essential
Sure.
workplace skills, occupational trainings, or yeah.
Like that?
While developing essential workplace skills and participating in services leading to employment, or just while participating in services leading to employment. I mean, because obviously mental health services are ongoing. It's going beyond employment.
Right.
Also psychological, emotional, and it should also include social well-being.
What is the context for this particular one in the benchmark?
It's part of strategic goal 4.
It's where the barriers, all the barriers are.
Let me tell you. Increase the annual percent of Maryland's workforce system customers who receive needed mental health services from X to Y. So it's the same format as for every other barrier.
And so when it comes to, and many of these services, it might be true, but particularly when it comes to mental health services, these individuals are going to require this beyond, oftentimes beyond getting the employment.
That's, I think, what we did, the word maintaining.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what we did. We just recently, we were providing support for maintaining their some medication.
So I just added it again, maybe retaining.
Retaining probably better, yeah. But I'm good with this one.
Okay. All right, physical health services.
The same.
So job search activities.
It's the same, right?
Okay, so you mean like tweak it so it reads the same as the last one?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I wonder, do we have to itemize them? Or can it be mental and physical health services? Can we just, in a glossary, just say mental and physical health services and have it be the same definition?
Okay.
You guys tell us. You know better.
Right. Right.
Do you feel like, John, it's okay to combine?
I think for purposes of this, because what, again, I mean, what's the goal here? For having this in the benchmark? Is it to promote having all workforce partners working with their consumers to be sensitive to the potential need for these services and directing them into these services? Is that the goal of having this included in the benchmarks?
I think it's, yeah, and to account for what is needed to provide an impact, because you cannot have an impact without that. You're right. It was someone, you know, when the benchmarks were developed, someone broke them down into two. So that's only the just technicality I'm asking you. Was there any other reason for that? If you feel like it makes sense, it makes sense to me.
Lisa, were you involved in the actual benchmarks? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I think the idea was just to list all these different mental and physical health services. I think the issue is that when folks created the benchmarks, I think they thought that there could be more modifications. Since that now we can't make modifications to the benchmarks, like, you know, it wasn't intended to be set in stone as it was. It was intended to be modified so that you could do things like combine physical and mental health services into one goal. I mean, that would make perfect sense to me, but if we can't modify the benchmarks, I don't, you know.
Yeah. I think that is a comment that should be brought up at the WIOA alignment group meeting for next Monday.
Okay. To what extent, maybe can we make it very general even, not just about this particular bullet point or the particular aspect? What are the options and what is the extent to which we could paraphrase, at least paraphrase and change the initial document?
Well, and maybe we can, in our report, that can be one of the recommendations. So before we actually have to make this stuff, you know, do something, we can perhaps get some flexibility. All right, so I'll do that. Formal benefits counseling.
Yeah, we took the same as Title III. We agreed with Title III definition. Okay.
Lisa, do you have any feelings?
So what I recall of the discussion in the original benchmarks is that this was intended to get at, I think, more like what DOORS does, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm clearly not an expert on this, but it was to get, because people were really concerned about this idea of the kind of cliff effect when you leave assistance, that, you know, you start making so much money that then that affects your other benefits that you're available for. Like then you stop being eligible for TANF, you stop being eligible for SNAP, as you kind of, you know. So that's what I think that's what people had in mind, and but I don't know. That's not my area of expertise, and I don't know what that is called. But I believe that was the thought process.
Right. I mean, for DOORS, benefits counseling is a very defined set of services. And so for us, it is only provided for those individuals who are either on SSI or SSDI, and it's only through certified benefits counselors through Social Security. So it is a very defined group. When we talk, at least among us, it's a very defined service. Now, throughout the whole system, there are a lot. I mean, you can touch in a lot of different areas of, you know, benefits counseling.
If Scott, if we kept the first definition, would your more specific definition still be true within that first definition?
Counseling through provided.
I don't think it's healthcare would fit.
Right, healthcare doesn't fit at all.
Yeah, and it's not what I was thinking of either necessarily, unless it's access to like medical assistance, the Medicaid program.
So Lisa,
So
Lisa, what you said to me is like, we want to provide some formal way to keep people from being like in a turnstile where they get off benefits and then they get right back on them. They get off and they get right back on. Is that kind of generic idea? Does your definition fit within that more generic idea? Is that the goal of your very specific definition too?
Well, it's to educate individuals as to what the various their earning levels, what type of other programs such as work incentives that may be applied to allow them to earn more but yet stay on a certain level of benefits. The potential of, okay, once you reach to a certain level, what other benefits might you lose as you go along? So it's a very comprehensive type of service that's provided.
It sounds. So is this accurate that it's like services to help a person maintain self-sufficiency as they transition off of services?
I like the term transition. I think that's an excellent way of phrasing it.
yeah, a lot of it was so that people aren't just all of a sudden hit by being like, oh my God, I've lost, I now started earning, $50 more a week and I've lost, $100 in SNAP benefits, so it's, because those kinds of things can happen. So I think it was trying to help people understand how their earnings affect the benefits that they receive.
Benefits. Is this anything near it? What I just...
I think that, yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I think that is, but I think, from our perspective, it is strictly those individuals who are on SSI and SSDI.
That sounds more like the data dictionary element for us, though. But I think
may very well be, John.
Yeah, but the term that's sticking with me is the word formal. If we're defining the phrase formal benefits counseling, there's the fact that there's a formality to it. We need to it's not just any professional workforce development person who is handing them a Social Security Red Book, and that's benefits counseling. This is a skilled individual providing the benefits counseling, certified through Social Security.
Could we combine perhaps the services to assist individuals in maintaining self-sufficiency, and then, oh heck, where's the SSI? And then say that four doors, glom it on there?
Well, I mean, that's what we have to kind of figure out. I mean, again, for the SSI and the SSDI piece, there is a formal process.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about formal, as John's pointed out, you talk about formal benefits counseling. For those individuals, it is typically a face-to-face. There is a fairly lengthy document that is produced for those individuals. Now, if there are other services that are provided through other agencies, TANF or something like that, that is just as formalized, then you certainly don't want to exclude that as well.
Yeah, TANF doesn't do anything like this. So at least to my knowledge, and I don't work on the local caseworker level, so I could be mistaken about that. But
so guys, I want to interrupt just a second because I just looked down at the clock and I saw that it's 4:33, and I want to respect everybody's time. We are.
We're closed.
I think we still have a half an hour to go here. Can everybody hang for another half an hour, or do you need to go?
No, we're fine. I'm fine.
I can hang.
Okay, all right, so let's power through then. I really appreciate your comment, John, about the formal benefits counseling. Maybe a recommendation would be that we should, if and when we are able to revise the benchmarks, we should consider a more expansive definition that takes into account more than just, you know, this formal benefits counseling that you perform. What does everybody?
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking at the strategic goal 5, which is where the formal benefits counseling is. The benchmark is increase the annual percent of workforce development system partner organizations who provide formal benefits counseling. Which I think what that was intended to do is say that this process that DOORS does sounds really great, and maybe other organizations should do something like that too. And you know, the idea would be to kind of try to spread that. I think that was the thought process there. Now, you know, yeah. Exactly how to define formal benefits counseling in a way that fits in with that, I'm not exactly certain.
Well, based on that based on what you just finished saying, then they are looking, I mean, at really the formal training that is done by either Virginia Commonwealth or Cornell University. Those are the two certifiers for the SSI, the SSA benefits counselors. So if they're looking to expand that network, then they really are focusing on SSI and SSDI beneficiaries.
I think it was to do that kind of thing, but not necessarily just for SSI or SSDI, but for people receiving other benefit programs as well. So, you know, TANF, SNAP, Medicaid, you know, any of those kinds of programs.
Right, but is there a formal training that
I don't know.
No.
So what about, you know, a defined process through which Social Security and other public beneficiaries receive benefits counseling, while other public beneficiaries entering or advancing in work, because the whole idea is employment, you know, and either they're getting a job and they're concerned about how this is going to affect their benefits, or they're in a job but they've been offered more hours, or they've been offered promotion or transition, and they need to know, how is this going to affect me? So it's all about the intersection of work and how it affects their benefits.
Yeah.
So I'm a little lost.
And yeah, they're not necessarily transitioning off of their public benefits.
Okay, yeah, if you just take off the part after a while, then I think that could work.
Mm-hmm.
Services that assist individuals in managing benefits and maintaining self-sufficiency. But isn't it
services that assist individuals who are employed or who are employed or considering employment? To manage their benefits and improve their self-sufficiency. And this, I would even suggest, is economic self-sufficiency.
Right.
Scott, will that be okay for you?
Yeah, well, no, I think that will cover both what we do as well as any other formal counseling that's done by other agencies.
So,
whether it's dealing with SSI or TANF or anything like that.
Do you think this would be of value?
That would be of value probably for the data dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think because that defines exactly what we do. But I think that the sentence we just came up with will benefit other organizations if they provide some type of, let's face it. I mean, with TANF, I'm sure the individual counselors that they have are going to say, if you earn up to X dollars, or if you don't go to work, you're going to lose your benefits, and that's going to also affect this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. So I think there's probably some level of counseling that goes on at TANF, dealing with those specific benefits, about what they need to do to maintain them for a period of time, and what will happen if they don't do certain activities.
Right, the impact. Okay, well, so it looks like we have a winner there. We got that. Housing services. Stable housing while participating. This one is kind of consistent.
Yeah.
All right. Non-custodial parent-child support. What do you think?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Food services. We already kind of did this, didn't we? Was it?
Yeah, I was up in food and energy.
Yeah.
So
services, are you talking about the food service program, or are you talking about food services?
Well,
two different, to me, food services is giving somebody who needs it foods, like in food pantries, not that program.
Right. And these are very specific.
Yeah, sorry, I had to deal with something else. I can give you a. I think didn't we talk about food and energy services, and I was going to send something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have here. We very broadly up here. We said support to individuals in need of financial assistance for food and or energy services. Since food services does have a very specific definition, and it looks like energy services also has a very specific definition, should we break these out into two separate things?
Well, they're referred to as food and energy services in the benchmark, so it's
yeah, but if we defined them both, we could always break them out later.
True.
I mean, it's up to you guys.
Well, that, or you can put that information into the data dictionary.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Individual case plan. My suggestion would be, instead of client, to say participant, because for Title II, for example, they're students. For Title IV, I think they're clients. For Title
I would call them individuals. I wouldn't call them participants.
Okay, that's a good idea.
It has another terminology when you get to performance calculation.
That's a good point.
Well, when you get to performance calculation, okay. So you might have individuals who have an individual case plan who are not participants?
Say person, because individual is what we're defining.
I mean, you've got individual repeated a bunch of times, and you're talking about an individual case plan, so you're being repetitive.
You need to say person.
Oh,
so
okay.
maybe individual is not a good word. Maybe person is a better word, but I don't like participant either.
Of the
needs and service.
Not in here.
case to meet.
So we either should take out the that it's an IEP.
To meet their needs.
I think we need to, okay, yeah. Take out
That
this.
individual and put there.
Leave just first sentence. Take out everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Summary of needs and services options.
Okay, put a period there, and then under the data dictionary, the next two for doors, because we have IPEs and you all have
Right.
IEPs.
Right.
That
Right.
goes in data dictionary.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So in the first bullet, just rephrased it a little bit, a summary of the needs and service options identified in the assessment process and outlined.
Very good. Oops. Okay. Should we put in there to meet their employment goals or just their needs in general?
Yeah.
Not always
Employment
What?
It could be supportive service
employment
needs.
goals.
literacy.
Yeah, I like the term goals. Employment goals.
Employment goal?
Yeah.
It might
Okay.
not be employment.
But it might not be employment. If you're talking about adult literacy, they're.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, yeah. Okay, that's fine. I agree.
Okay.
Just goals.
Okay. Transportation services.
I don't think you have the word transportation in the word for which you're defining transportation.
I know, but we couldn't come up with a different one.
There's got to be another word.
Well, Google. It's another word for transportation.
Oh, God.
Visual. I don't know, because transportation is actually being used as an adjective there. So support
But
services.
you're not supposed to have the word in the definition, and Melena and I were getting tired and we couldn't come up with something else that kind of transportation.
Modes of transport.
I think that's
Seriously, Linda.
that's just tortured. Well, I mean, what are we saying? We're really saying that it's to help people get from
Get
their
from
home
A to B.
from their home to their work, to be able to
Right.
get there.
Well, it's not just their work, it's to their training program or to any other activities.
It's the
Right.
movement of animals and goods from one location
To
to
receive
another.
services.
Support service costs to assist an individual in traveling to the locations of services.
Commuting. Let's do commuting.
What?
Yeah, traveling from one location to another, Lily.
Commuting. Traveling.
Commuting.
I mean, traveling is for vacation.
I like commuting. That was good. Yeah.
Okay, but took care of the word transportation.
How about the word conveyance?
Support service costs to assist an individual in commuting to locations where services are provided or where they have obtained employment.
Yes, that's good.
It might not be employment. It could be,
Where training is provided, where services are.
I was going to say, why don't you say to locations where services are provided, including
but not limited.
developmental of essential skills, place, occupational
Yeah.
training, service, outsourced activities, and employment.
All of the stuff that we have further. Yeah.
Right.
Let's see, where is that?
No, it's there. Lily, it's in the same paragraph. It's at the end of the sentence.
Oh, okay. System in a community election or service are
To
provided.
take out from or all the way down to the end of the third line.
Including transportation. Hang on. This is harder than you guys think it is, honest.
No, we all know how hard it is. You're doing great.
Okay, so.
Take out, put the cursor where including, after including.
Okay.
And start taking out. Delete. Stop.
Including, should we leave development in or take development out?
But services, essential workplace skills is not a service. Development of essential skills could be kind of service.
How
Well,
about,
if you're doing including but not limited to, just take that one out. We only put that in there because that was one of the services that was defined in benchmarks.
Support services to assist an individual to participate in services. But it to participate in vocational services leading to employment. I mean, it would have to be quite so long.
Yeah. I'm kind of a fan of just the simpler where services are provided or employment is obtained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yes, leave it.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Got it.
Okay. All right. That's it. All right. Substance use services. Participating in, I think this one, how about doing the first one while participating in services or obtaining employment?
Okay.
Participating in services or obtaining.
And yeah.
Should you get rid of substance though, since that's part of the word? Disorders such as those related to alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, stimulants, hallucinogenics, and opiates.
Oh, that's getting way crazy.
I think this is probably a good level of detail. What does everybody else think?
I'm good.
I mean, we're back to using the word to define the word.
I don't like that. And you use it
that
3 times.
Dependence on an addictive substance when you're talking about substance use or substance abuse. So Lily,
What support service to assist an individual to maintain their recovery?
That's good.
That's better.
That's good.
What's a disorder?
Wow.
Personally, I am not quite as, I mean, I do appreciate not being lazy and using the word, but here we're talking about, the title is substance use services, which I think is kind of weird, but because I would think it would be substance abuse services, but we're saying controlling dependence on addictive substances. I don't think that's the same. I think just because the word substance is used in both, I don't think they read the same, and I think it's actually perfectly clear. What does everybody else think? I don't think anybody would not know what this means. Like leaving that word substances in there does not create, to me, it doesn't create the potential for misunderstanding.
Agreed.
All right, move on.
Okay. Maryland Workforce System customer.
I'm not doing this anymore.
So this is where I think we need to go really broad. And in the dictionary, we can say, you know, these individual definitions, I don't know, anyone who, we want to say no, you know, something about no wrong door, that no matter where a person enters the system, they should have access to all the services.
And are you talking system as in a brick building, or are you talking virtual?
Both. I mean, I think, what does everybody else think? I think everybody that is served by the Maryland Workforce System is a customer of it.
Right.
I know there's
if you go into the MWE and do labor market information and job search and find a job, you're obviously a person who's benefited from the system.
Right.
Because the job order was put in by the business or a rep for the business.
Right.
And the tools were there for them to use.
Yep.
So, Linda, are you including, but by this question here, this bullet, does this mean virtual entrance also? Does that mean including people who would otherwise be considered reportable, even though they are not considered participants?
Correct. Don't we want to count
Go
them?
really broad, like, I want to side with Lily and say who is impacted by the services or who can utilize the services of the system, and that would be it. Because we can go really deep on this one.
And are we also talking about businesses like the last bullet says?
But that's my kind of debate right now is only about whether it's individual only or both business and individual.
Right, and I think when we looked at it in the actual context of the document, it was just job seekers.
I think it's both.
Right, it felt like it was just job seekers. Not sure that I agree with that, but this is the feel.
I thought it was both.
Not the state.
I would say it's both.
Benefit?
Can you guys
All
hear
about
me?
that.
My
Nothing
mic
about
is
this.
being weird.
I can hear you.
Okay. My phone says I'm still muted, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. So what do you guys think of this? Job seekers and businesses who benefit from the resources of partner agencies who participate in providing services. What do you think of that?
I'm good, actually. That's broad enough, and
We're mentioning workforce system, which we're defining.
what? But we are defining customer and not workforce system. Okay.
Yeah. Maryland workforce customer.
I'm fine.
To benefit. So if they're not, if they don't benefit, then we don't count them?
Well,
okay, who uses? Who uses?
Or utilize?
Utilizes. Who utilize job seekers and who utilize?
Lies, not ISIS.
Right. Utilize the resources. Is that better, John?
Utilize will come to mind, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Oh my goodness, would you guys look at this? We are 4 away. Okay, but horribly, we are now here.
Skip that, Lily.
That's a big conversation.
That's a long conversation.
Those
Skip that one.
Exeter, all those are all going to be long. That's a whole different call.
Into experience employment.
Actually,
again,
people with barriers, individuals with barriers to employment, that's a not long one. That
Well, yeah, but that's also so concrete.
That comes from state plan.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be long. So which one? Reportable. Where is the reportable in the?
Reportable individual just needs to be in the data dictionary. It doesn't need to be in this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Right. There's no, it's not, so take it. I mean, yeah, it's red.
I mean, it talks about who we're going to report on, and that's definitely data dictionary.
Right. What about
participant? I think participants data dictionary stuff too.
When a participant, I think they added that later because they want a participant, Exeter, and exclusion.
Yeah, I don't think there's a participant in here. I think it's all Maryland Workforce System customer.
Ah, there you go. So,
say it again?
So this is.
So let me just ask so I really feel good about defining a customer the way that we did. If we don't have to, if we're not going to correlate that to the way that we do our metrics, you know, if we're going to correlate that to the way we do our metrics, then I think we need to look at it further, honestly, but maybe not today. But if we're going to say, you know, that when we're counting an individual, it's in terms of the metrics, it's due to reportable or it's being a reportable individual versus being a participant, then I think we're okay.
What does everybody think?
It's just knowing who, it's going to affect your asset map because what we're going to have data on is not going to be so much on the reportables for placement, but it's only going to be on the participants.
Right.
So your asset map, I still can't give you what you want on an asset map because I don't know what some of these words still mean because they're very general.
But we will define it later. So look, in the initial document, reportable individual is not there. Participant is not even there. There's only customer.
Right.
I
That's
wouldn't
why
even
I'm
go
saying,
there right now.
Let's save it for the data dictionary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't want to go
Because
there.
the data dictionary is needed in order to do the asset map, because I still can't
Right.
tell you what I have,
Right,
because I still don't know what half these words mean.
right.
So maybe instead of moving to the asset map, are you saying we need to focus on the data dictionary next?
Yes, because I still cannot tell you what half this stuff means in the system.
I agree.
Okay, so we can talk about that. Now, so the only reason, these were some suggested additional words, and my thought was,
Why do we need a 5-year time?
I don't know why, I don't even know who suggested all of these.
It has to do with TANF and the amount of time you can actually be on TANF.
Yeah, so this is the stuff that I think Elizabeth suggested. So yeah, so I wouldn't worry about it. This is not stuff we need to have in the glossary. This isn't stuff that's in the benchmarks. Let's just not worry about it.
Okay, so here's what the next step is going to be. I'm going to take all this, I'm going to put it into a document, like a table. I want you guys to all go through it as soon as possible and put any comments you have in it, because then I'm going to turn that around and send it out to the larger committee so that we can approve this at our next meeting. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep, that works.
Okay. All right then. Thank you so much for your time. I know you've been just troopers about this. Thank you all for your, not just your time, but really just how deeply you've thought about this and hung in there. Thank you.
Thank you for leading this.
Elena, are you in the office tomorrow?
Yes, the entire day.
Okay, I'm going to give you a call about something else.
Okay.
All right. Try to stay out of trouble, everyone.
Okay. We will.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
How do you turn it off?
Let me out of here. You sound so exhausted. Oh. Glossary of terms includes feedback collected during conference call 4/26.
I don't know what is up with my phone. It was like on mute, but then you guys didn't hear me, and then I tried to unmute it to talk later, and I couldn't. It was like,
oh,
and no one was
you
looking
made
at
good suggestions.
and no one was
too.
looking at the chat. So there was like a good half hour. I was just like, I can't do anything.
Oh, well, I have speakers at home. I just keep forgetting to bring them in. Let's see. Let me send myself a reminder to bring in my speakers.
So next step you said is just to kind of like put these finalized definitions in one document, like without all the rest of the clutter.
Right. I'm listening. Go ahead.
You said in a chart, but do you think just in a Word document so that people can just use track changes? And then if you want, you can put me as person, and I can just, like that they send their comments to, and I can do what I do for the policies and just kind of have on the side of the Word document is all the comments.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
We could definitely.
There's also the Excel sheets. They're hard to print. So if you ever want to have any,
yeah,
and they're hard to see across.
Yeah.
If everyone participates, you'd have to scroll.
I was just thinking about like, I was thinking about all the times where they said, oh, thank you. I need to end my meeting.